The office was too quiet for a place that had once thrummed with voices, phones, and the clatter of keyboards. At this hour, long past midnight, only the hum of fluorescent lights and the occasional groan of the old building kept Itsuki Takahashi company. His desk was buried under a storm of papers, sketches, and calculations. The design for the new bridge, a project meant to define his career, sat half finished, the lines hesitant, the mass stubbornly refusing to align, and scattered across every available surface were crates, foxes, lilies, and strange geometric shapes folded from those very same sheets. His late night companions, born of procrastination and restless hands. Itsuki leaned back in his chair and rubbed his temples. At 30, he already looked twice his age. His hair had turned chalk white in his 20s, earning him the nickname Oji-san, old man, from colleagues far younger and far more ruthless. Tall and thin, with a long neck and rectangular face, his frame gave him the awkward look of a stretched figure in an unfinished sketch. His wide eyes now burned with worry. Two daughters, rent overdue, a dwindling bank account, and the quiet, gnawing knowledge that if he failed tonight, there would be no second chance. He had considered asking for a raise, but the thought of bringing it up to Hiroto Yamashita, his boss, made his stomach turn. Hiroto didn't give raises, he gave ultimatums. The door slammed open. Itsuki nearly toppled from his chair. Hiroto Yamashita filled the doorway like a thundercloud. Massive shoulders, shiny bald head glinting under the fluorescent lights, the bulging eyes that never seemed to blink. His suit was immaculate despite the hour, the buttons straining against his bulk. "What the hell are you doing, Takahashi?" His voice boomed, echoing through the empty floor. Itsuki scrambled, shoving aside the origami forest and pulling half-rolled sketch towards him. I'm working, sir. Here, this is a draft." Hiroto snatched the paper from his hand. He studied it for no more than a heartbeat before crumbling it into his fist. "Garbage. This is garbage. Child's doodle. We present to the city council in the morning, and you hand me this? I just need a little more time." "You have until morning." Hiroto's face twisted, the veins in his neck bulging. "If that bridge isn't complete and flawless by then, you're finished. Do you understand me, Takahashi? Finished." Itsuki could only nod, his throat dry. Hiroto lingered a moment longer, his glare drilling into him, then turned on his heel and slammed the door behind him. The silence that followed was deafening. Itsuki sat frozen, staring at the ruined sketch in his hands. His career, daughter's futures, his life compressed into fragile lines on a piece of paper. All of it hung on whether he could turn failure into brilliance before sunrise. His hands trembled. Slowly, deliberately, he tore the sheet in half. The sound was ordinary. The effect was not. Something cracked. Not in the paper, but in the air itself. A shimmer appeared in the middle of his office, a jagged flicker, like light bending through the broken glass. Caught, he dropped the paper halves. His eyes locked on the impossible tear hanging before him. He rose to his feet. Step by step, he approached it. The shimmer pulsed faintly, beckoning. His hand stretched out, stopped, plunged through it. It vanished. He could feel something cool, fluid, unearthly. Without thinking, he pushed forward. In an instant, Itsuki Takahashi was gone. The office was empty once more, save for the scattered origami and the humming lights. But Itsuki was not the only one watching the tear. On a monitor in a shadowed room down the hall, Hiroto Yamashita sat frozen in his leathery chair, eyes wide. The hidden camera in Itsuki's office replayed the scene again and again. Takahashi tearing the sketch, the impossible crack in the air, and then disappearing. Hiroto's jaw tightened, his breath quickened. He leaned forward, his bulging eyes never leaving the screen. What the hell did you just do, Takahashi? The sensation of falling didn't end with a tear, it deepened. His stomach twisted as though the world itself were folding him through an infinite crease. Then impact. Itsuki hit the ground hard. The breath ripped from his chest. He blinked against a strange, pulsing haze. The air was alive with a low, discordant hum, like feedback from a broken speaker that never stopped. Every breath tasted metallic, bitter. He pushed himself up, only to freeze. The city around him was Osaka, but not. Towers leaned at impossible angles. The city around him was Osaka, but not. Towers leaned at impossible angles, their glass facades rippling as though underwater. Streets stretched too far, vanishing into the horizon that bent back on themselves. And the people, if there were people, moved like marionettes tugged by invisible strings. Their bodies walked straight, but behind them trailed flickers of shadows, distorted bubbles, twisted in perpetual sneers, gnashing their teeth. One woman bent to pick up her child, but her echo scooped the child and flung it into a wall. Itsuki recoiled, yet the woman's eyes flashed with horror. She had seen it too. She wasn't moving anymore. She was watching herself. Itsuki's pulse raced. What is this place? The answer came from within. Memories slammed into him, not his own, but corrupted copies. Him screaming at his daughters, him striking his wife, him burning his designs in rage. He staggered under the weight of them, clutching his head. No, that's not me. That's not. A shadow stepped from the haze, tall, broad, bold, eyes bulging like marbles ready to pop. Hiroto Yamashita, or rather, the echo of Hiroto. Its mouth stretched into a jagged grin, lips peeling back to reveal fangs too long for a human jaw. Its hand ended in claws that scraped the ground as it walked. Every movement carried the same authority Hiroto had wielded at the office, except now it was stripped of civility, reduced to pure menace. You can't run from me, Takahashi, the monster said. Its voice was Hiroto's, but distorted, as if played backward through a broken speaker. You have already given me your life. Now give me your soul. Itsuki stumbled back, panic clawing through his ribs. Behind him, his own echo stirred. An elongated version of himself, white-haired, eyes yellow, teeth dripping with tar. It whispered in his own voice, You already think like me. You fear me. Let me in. No. No! Every fear he had suppressed came alive in the air around him. His daughters crying for food, his wife's suitcase by the door, his boss's smirk as he signed a termination notice. They weren't just thoughts. They became physical, surrounding him, taunting him with voices he couldn't shut out. The Hiroto echo lunged. Claws sliced the air, missing his chest by an inch. Itsuki fell to the ground, scrambling backward, heart jackhammering. Give me what's mine, the echo roared. Itsuki's mind scrambled for escape. His breath came fast, ragged, and then memory, a small, folded paper, still in his pocket, his daughter's drawing. He fumbled for it, fingers shaking. It was creased, crumpled from a day in his jacket, but the childish lines were still there, a door, drawn in thick purple crayons, surrounded by scribbled stars. She had handed it to him that morning, with a smile so innocent it hurt. For you, Papa. A magic door. Tears swelled in his eyes. Perfect, he whispered. The Hiroto shadow loomed over him, claws poised. That paper won't save you. It took its hand, tightened. He stared at the door until his vision blurred. Then tore it straight down the middle. The air split open. Reality itself screamed. A fissure of light burst out, jagged, and brilliant. The Dominion convulsed, the echoes shrieking in rage, their bodies unraveling like smoke. The Hiroto master's claws swiped but struck only air, its fanged mouth bellowing its fury as Itsuki hurled himself into the tear, and then silence. He was on his knees in his living room. The ham was gone. The air was clean. Light filtered gently through the curtains. On the floor before him, his two daughters were playing with blocks, giggling, their small hands clumsy but sure. They hadn't even noticed him. Itsuki's chest heaved. His fingers still clenched the halves of the crayon door. He let them fall to the carpet. He wasn't sure if this Dominion was real, or if it had already infected his world. But as he watched his daughters laugh, one thing was certain. Whatever that place was, it wanted him back. Papa! Itsuki barely had time to breathe before Hana and Natsumi barreled into him, their small arms wrapped around his legs, anchoring him back to reality more firmly than gravity itself ever could. Hana's long hair brushed against his hands as she looked up with wide brown eyes. Papa, you're home early. Natsumi, chubbier and still stumbling in her steps, buried her face against his knees, her rosy cheeks dimpling as she laughed. Papa, Papa! Itsuki felt his throat tightened. He dropped to his knees, pulling both girls into his arms. The weight of them, warm and real, nearly broke him. Tears threatened, but he forced them back. Not now, not in front of them. Papa missed you, he whispered, his voice trembling. A voice cleared from doorways. Itsuki, you didn't come home last night, did you? Satsuki stood there, glasses perched on her round face, her long hair still mused from sleep. She wore a house robe, one hand gripping the door frame, her eyes sharp, questioning, narrowed at him. What time is it? Itsuki asked, his voice hollow. Morning, she said faintly. So you worked all night again? Before he could answer, the sharp buzz of the doorbell cut through the room. Everyone turned. I'll get it, Itsuki muttered, gently tangled himself from the daughter's grip. At the door stood a man in a sleek black suit. Head bowed, in practice deference. Yamashita, Mr. Hiroto's driver. His expression betrayed nothing as he spoke. It's time for work. Takahashi-san, please come with me. Beyond him, the unmistakable outline of Hiroto's limousine idled on the street, its black frame glinting in the morning sun. Satsuki's voice rose from behind him, sharp with irritation. You just got here, and now you're leaving again? Itsuki forced a thin smile he didn't feel. I'll be back, he promised. Those words rang hollow even to him. He kissed Hana's hair, then Natsumi's warm cheek, and followed Yamashita outside. The ride was silent at first. Itsuki sat stiffly, his fingers twisting in his lap as the city drifted by beyond tinted glass. Finally, he broke the quiet. I didn't finish the bridge design, he admitted, his voice low. From the seat opposite him, Hiroto let out a booming laugh. His bulging eyes gleamed, and the bald dome of his head caught the passing sunlight. Forget the bridge, Hiroto said. We have more important things now. Itsuki frowned. What do you mean? You'll see. The limousine pulled up to an unfinished skyscraper, skeletal steel ridges clawing into the sky. A sign at the base reads, Ryomon Development Corporation, Hiroto's empire. Inside, the air smelled of rust and fresh cement. They climbed stairs and scaffolding until Hiroto stopped in a half-built office, concrete walls bare. From his coat, Hiroto produced a sleek tablet and swiped it away. Watch, Itsuki leaned closer. The video was grainy but unmistakable. It was his office. He watched himself staring at the bridge design and then tearing it in half. The screen flickered as the impossible happened. Reality split open. and he walked straight into the tear. The footage ended with an empty chair and papers fluttering to the floor. Itsuki's chest went cold. "What was that?" Hiroto demanded, his eyes bulging wider than usual. Itsuki swallowed hard. "I don't know how to explain it. Another place, a dimension where..." "Another dimension?" Hiroto's lips curled into a grin. "Do you realize the potential here? Resources, technology, power, money." His voice thickened with greed. "You will make me rich beyond imagination, Takahashi." He yanked a sheet of blank paper from a desk and shoved it into Itsuki's chest. "Do it again, right now." Itsuki's hands trembled as he held the paper. He stared at it, tried to summon the memory of his daughter's crayon door, the fear that had split reality before, tore the paper in half. Nothing. He tried it again. Each rip echoed in the empty room, the house fluttering uselessly to the ground. Sweat slicked his arms. I can't," he stammered. Hiroto's face darkened. He raised one thick hand and Yamashita stepped forward. The driver's blows came fast, precise, merciless. Itsuki staggered, the metallic tongue of blood filling his mouth. He dropped to his knees. Hiroto leaned close, his voice a hiss in Itsuki's ear. "You'll figure it out, because if you don't, your little family won't be safe." They dragged him across the concrete floor, shoved him into a half-finished room. A pile of paper was dumped at his feet. The door slammed shut, the lock clicking in place. "Don't worry about your wife and daughters," Hiroto called from the other side. "We'll take care of them." The footsteps receded, leaving Itsuki alone with the papers, his blood, and the echo of his daughter's laughter in his ears. The room was silent, except for the rasp of Itsuki's own breath. Blood still crusted the corner of his mouth. His hand shook as he fumbled in his shirt pocket and pulled out the one scrap of paper he had tucked away earlier, a fragile lifeline. He set it aside and reached for another sheet from the pile Yamashita had dumped at his feet. He held it up, stared at the blank expanse. "Just focus," he told himself, "the way you did it before." His fingers trembled as he tore the paper. For a moment, nothing happened. Then his gaze snagged on something unnatural. A black string lay across the floor, coiled loosely like a snake at rest. He hadn't noticed it before. Now it seems to pulse faintly, as if it were breathing. The tear widened in the air before him. Space shattered. Reality split open like cloth, unraveling thread by thread. Itsuki staggered forward, clutching his pocket, scrapped tight, and fell through the rift. He landed hard on something that wasn't solid ground. It flexed and quivered beneath his weight, like walking on the web of some colossal spider. He looked down and froze. Strings, endless strings. They wove the world around him, stretching in every direction, glistening in shades of gold, black, and silver. Each thread vibrated with a sick, parasitic life. They weren't just holding this universe together, they were feeding. A scream ripped through him, not his own, but someone else's. It wasn't in his ears, it was in his mind, echoing along the strings that borrowed invisibility into his skin. The anguish of strangers bled into him. Fear, grief, hunger, desperation. Every being in this realm was lashed into the same lattice, suffering together. Itsuki stumbled, clutching his head. Every step was torment, the threads resisting him, biting into his soles like knives. "No, I can't stay here." His voice shook. He fumbled for his pen and the paper in his pocket. If he could just draw the door again, maybe. He quickly sketched a crude doorway. His lines jagged from trembling, but before he could finish, snap! A black thread shot out like a whip, snatched the paper from his fingers, and slithered away into the lattice. "No!" Tsuki shouted, lunging after it. The web beneath him shivered violently. More strings rose up, wrapping around his wrists, ankles, throat. He kicked and clawed, but for every strand he tore away, two more lashed around him. His lungs burned, couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Then something pulled them off. A blur of scarlet sliced through the shreds, severing them. A red string. It darted and twisted with unnatural speed, knocking the black parasite's back, shielding Itsuki. Panting, he slumped into a coil of golden threads. The red one circled him, twitching. Itsuki blinked. "Are you helping me?" The red thread stilled, then bobbed up and down, almost like a note. He let out a shaky laugh, hysteria bubbling in his chest. "You're acting like a dog." The thread swished again, then padded in a circle on 4 notes. Mimicking legs, Itsuki's throat tightened. "You are a dog, aren't you?" The thread bent slightly. As though bowing, he exhaled. "Then fetch, please. Go get my paper." Pointed into the labyrinth where the teeth thread had vanished. The red string quivered, then bolted away, its body flexing like a leash, snapping free. Itsuki waited. Minutes stretched. The endless hum of the letters pressed on him, heavy with screams that weren't his own. He was on the edge of breaking when movement caught his eyes. The red string came racing back, dragging the cramped paper in its coils. Itsuki nearly sobbed. He snatched the paper, his hand shaking. "Good boy," he whispered, patting the thread gently. Quivered under his touch, almost wagging. "Buchi, that's your name, Buchi." He stared at the crude door again, this time focusing only one thought. "Home," told the paper. The letters split open. Light flooded in. Itsuki stumbled through, clutching Buchi close. The golden strings snapped away, and the screams silenced, crashed into a familiar wooden floor. His living room. His chest heaved with relief. "Hana, Natsumi," called, voice breaking. Silence. The toys laid scattered where his daughters had been playing. The air was cold, empty. He was home, but his family was gone. Itsuki's apartment was silent when he returned. The lights were off, the toys gone. He tore through the rooms calling, "Hana, Natsumi, Satsuki." His voice echoed back at him. Empty, cruel. The fear in his chest became certainty. His boss. He stormed into the corporate office before dawn, tie loose, hair disheveled. Mr. Hiroto was waiting, his immense frame blotting out the light from the window. Bulging eyes gleamed with satisfaction. "You figured it out, haven't you?" Hiroto said smoothly. "That little trick of yours. Where are they?" Itsuki growled. "My family." Hiroto smiled, the expression never touching his eyes. "Come, I'll take you." The limousine cut through Osaka's grey streets until it reached one of Hiroto's half-built towers, its skeletal frame clawed into the sky. Steel bones exposed, they rode the service elevator up past floor after unfinished floor until it stopped with a groan at the 67th. Inside a bare concrete room, Itsuki saw them. Satsuki, Hana, Natsumi. They huddled in the corner, his daughters clutching their mother's legs. Relief surged through him. Then he froze as Hiroto's guards swept in. "Search them," Hiroto commanded. Gloved hands riffled through every pocket, every fold of clothing. The children whimpered. Nothing, no paper. Satisfied, Hiroto turned to Itsuki. "You want them free? Then you will tell me how you did it. You'll teach me to tell reality. Until then, my men will keep you comfortable here." "I don't know," Itsuki said, desperation cracking his voice. "I don't know how it works." The guard struck him across the face. Pain burst white behind his eyes. He tasted blood. "You will know," Hiroto hissed. "And when you do, remember, I owe you. And I owe them." He turned, signaling his men. The steel door slammed shut, locking Itsuki and his family inside. The silence was suffocating. Hana clung to his leg. Natsumi whimpered against her mother's chest. Satsuki's glasses glinted in the dim light as she whispered, "What's happening to us, Itsuki? Tell me everything." So he did. He told her about the tears in reality, the Echo Dominion, the letters of threats, about Pucci, the red string that had saved him, about paper, ordinary paper, being a key, entangled somehow with the quantum fabric of the universe. His words sounded insane, even to his own ears. "I don't know why it's me," he admitted, his voice raw, "but I can't stop now. I'll find a way out." He staggered suddenly, clutching his stomach. A wave of nausea overtook him. He collapsed to his knees, gagging, and then he vomited. A sleek crimson thread slid out of his throat, glistening in the light. Attached to its end was a crumpled scrap of paper. Satsuki gasped, dragging the children back. Itsuki stared at it, then seized the thread with shaking hands. "Pucci?" he whispered. The red string twitched faintly in response. His chest swelled with desperate hope. He tucked the thread carefully into his pocket and smoothed the paper flat. He tore it down the middle. Reality rippled. The air shimmered, bending like water. A wound in the world yawned open. A wound in the world yawned open. "Hana, Natsumi," Itsuki said quickly, voice tight. "Hold on to your mother. Don't let go." Satsuki clutched them close. "Where are we going?" "Think of Nozaki Island," Itsuki told her. "My father's house. Picture it clearly." She nodded, trembling. Itsuki focused too. "Perfect," he whispered. Then he tore the paper clean through. Light burst from the tear. A doorway. He pushed Satsuki and the children through fast. Their bodies rippled and vanished into the shimmer. He followed. The steel door banged open. A guard charged in, rifle raised. He froze at the sight of the glowing fissure. On the other side, Itsuki's family was disappearing. He roared and hurled himself at the portal and slammed face first into the concrete wall. The tear sealed shut. Nozaki Island. Waves rolled softly against the shore. Wind carried the scent of salt and pine. Itsuki staggered to his feet on the tatami floor of his father's seaside home. Satsuki was there, clutching the girls, tears streaming silently down her cheeks. They were safe. For the first time since the nightmare began, they were beyond Hiroto's reach. The shrine stood on a wooded rise above Nozaki Island, its vermilion gates withered but proud against the salt-stained wind. Lanterns swung gently in the breeze as night settled in, and the cicadas sang their endless hymn. Tsuki's father, Yukio Takahashi, poured tea into chipped cups as his son finished recounting the impossible tale. The old man's eyes gleamed with a scholar's hunger. "So you claim paper itself is a key?" Yukio said, voice harsh, reverent. "That when you tear it, you tear the world?" Itsuki nodded. "I don't fully understand it, but I can show you." In the adjoining room, Satsuki slept on the tatami with the girls curled against her, their tiny breasts soft as the rustles of leaves. Itsuki tucked several sheets of rice paper into his pocket, exhaled slowly, and closed his eyes. His pulse calmed, his mind emptied. When he opened them again, he pulled one page free, its surface glowing faintly in the lamplight. He tore it in half. The air shivered. A seam split open, trembling like silk under a blade. Yukio gasped as Itsuki stepped forward and vanished into the shimmer, the hollow veil. A universe of ghosts. Itsuki's body flickered, translucent, each edge of his form glowing like a bleaching screen. All around him, fragile cellhoods floated, human and animal, even trees, each trembling with the effort of holding themselves together. The ground beneath him wasn't ground at all, just a mesh of pale threads that gave way if he lingered too long. Above the sky was black emptiness, and then, with a tearing sound that vibrated in his bones, the void cracked. A split of searing light opened, and behind it an eye, a vast, incomprehensible entity, peered through. Its presence pressing on Itsuki's very essence. Terror stabbed through him, and his shimmering body wavered. Threads of his form beginning to unravel around him. Others cried out in panic, their outline collapsing into a static before vanishing forever. Stay still, stay calm, suppress it. But his fear only grew sharper, heavier. No, I can't die here, Itsuki whispered, so he had no mouth. And then he remembered paper. He thought of it with all his might, white rectangles, blank and fragile. Paper that cuts, paper that folds, the very thing tethered to reality itself. A sheet appeared in the air before him, pulsing faintly, but he had no hands, no body, only the thought of himself. So he imagined tearing, he willed it. Every fragment of his body focused on the sound, the rip, the shiver, the split. The paper tore, light surged, a new shimmer gaped open. Before it closed, forced himself to be. Fingers, arms, a torso, legs, his body burned into existence, ghost-like but real enough. He shoved himself forward, diving through. He fell hard on the tatami. Dawnlight spilled into the shrine. His father sat frozen, teacup in hand, eyes wide with awe and terror. Itsuki was back. By the next day, the strangeness faded. They spent the hours in peace, walking the beach, eating grilled fish, Hana chasing crabs with Natsumi, toddling after her. For a moment, life was ordinary again. That night, they laughed together. The sea breeze soft, the stars clear above. When morning came, they walked to ropes biting into their wrists and ankles. The girls whimpered. Satsuki struggled against the knots. They were tied in the hull of a rocking boat. Water slapped against wood. The air smelled of diesel and salt. And somewhere above, heavy footsteps thudded on the deck. Itsuki's eyes snapped open to the groan of shifting wood and the crash of waves. Salt stung his nose. His wrists ached, raw against coarse rock. The boat. The logo painted on the window left no doubt. Hiroto's company crest, glaring like a brand. They had taken them. Taken all of them. He twisted, heart hammering. Satsuki, bound at the wrists. His father, Yukio, slumped but alive. Little Hana, gagged, eyes wide with terror. But not Natsumi. Where's Natsumi? He croaked, panic flaring. Tiny footsteps, a wobbling figure in the dim light. His 2-year-old appeared. Cheeks flushed, dimpled face bright with uncomprehending joy. Natsumi! Itsuki almost sobbed with relief. Come here, baby. She toddled over. He bent forward, desperate. Ante Papa, pull the rope. She tugged hard, the nose tightened. No, not that way. He winced, forcing his voice calm. Listen, sweetheart. Pocket. Papa's pocket. Get the paper. Somehow impossible, she did. A small crumpled sheet found its way into his hand. He barely had time to focus. Panic clouded his mind. He had to get them out. Home. Anywhere. Just away. He tore. Reality tore with it. The boat lurked. His chair dropped into the floor, swallowed by a shimmer of impossible light. The prison. kaleidoscope of shifting mirrors stretched in all directions, reflecting fragments of Itsuki's face, smiling, weeping, snarling. Every thought sparked a splinter, every doubt breathed a double. A vision of him lunged from the glass, eyes blazing with rage. Another emerged, cradling a phantom child before stabbing it. Dozens came, grotesque echoes of his own intentions, twisted into predators. Itsuki ran, but the alarmness shifted with his panic. Corridors folded back on themselves, turning his fear into traps. Each time he reached for a paper, his mind fractured. Home, no, the boat, no, the shrine, and the portal fizzled into nothing. He tried again and again, until his last page dissolved into useless static. Out of breath, he collapsed on the pulsing ground. Doppelgangers circled like wolves. The static air hissed. "It's over," he whispered, chest heaving. "I'm finished." And then silence. The doubles slowed, their shapes wavered, thinning like mist. The labyrinth stilled, no longer wrapping. All I had to do was stop. For the first time since arriving, Itsuki's thoughts were empty, still, and the prism held its breath with him, but he had no paper left. He searched his pockets desperately. Nothing. No, something. A coil of red. "Buchi," he breathed. The string twitched in his palm. It slithered free, alive, wagging like a dog's tail. Itsuki's throat tightened. "Fetch! Get me paper!" The red thread darted away, waving through the mirrors. For agonizing minutes, Itsuki waited, surrounded by silent shadows of himself. Then it returned, a sheet of paper clutched tight in its knotted loops. Itsuki laughed with relief, patting the string as though it were fur. "Good boy, good Buchi." He tore the page. The boat's hold slammed back into focus. He was tied no longer. Satsuki gasped as he cut her bonds, then freed Hana and his father. "Quick, hold each other." He gripped the last paper tight, forcing a single unwavering thought: safety. Rip. The air tore open, heat washing over them. On the other side, a sun-bleached horizon, palms swaying over a glittering pool of water, an oasis, the Sahara Desert. "Go!" Itsuki urged, pushing them through. He followed last, clutching Buchi close. The shimmer sealed shut behind him. They collapsed into sand, breathless but alive. The desert wind roared in their ears. For now, they were free, but Hiroto's shadow stretched long, and Itsuki knew it would find them again. Within a week, Itsuki and his father Yukio had carved out a life among the dunes. Each day, Itsuki vanished into Osaka through his shimmering gateways and returned laden with supplies, rolls of canvas, beams of steel, crates of tools, even solar panels balanced precariously on his back. Soon the oasis bloomed with a sprawling tent compound, complete with bedrooms, a kitchen, a living room lined with rugs, and even a working toilet. The panels caught the sun, powering lights that glowed like stars after dark. For the first time in weeks, the family slept safely, the desert wind their only intruder. Itsuki kept Buchi, the loyal red string always coiled in his pocket. But one evening, as his daughters played in the sand, he whispered to Yukio, "It's time the kids had a pet. Something real, something alive." He pulled out a sheet of paper, heart pounding. Closing his eyes, he imagined flesh, sinew, muscle, a body for his red string, a life beyond thread. He tore. The shimmer devoured him and Buchi. Then Itsuki opened his eyes. The world was a nightmare. The ground heaved beneath him like living muscle. Towers of flesh twisted upward, bursting with veins. Faces, countless faces, melted and fused, screaming and whispering in one endless chorus. Every step, every breath belonged to the organism, the flesh chorus. Itsuki gagged as his body was pulled into the quivering mass. His arms fused into the wall of skin. His legs sank into piercing meat. He could still think, still see, but his body was no longer his own. "Buchi!" he cried. The red string wreathed free from his pocket, bursting into the form of a red dog, its eyes blazing. It lunged at the wall of flesh, tearing and clawing. Chunks of meat rained down, only to reattach themselves seconds later. The dog's fury was endless, but it was gnawing at a planet, futile. Itsuki clawed inside his pocket, desperate for paper. Each time he pulled one free, it dissolved into wet flesh before his eyes. His heart sank. Exhaustion overtook him. He clutched Buchi close as the dog whimpered, slick with gore. "Enough," he whispered. "Rest. Just let it end." Darkness swallowed them. "Papa, wake up!" Itsuki's eyes snapped open. His daughter's face hovered above him. "Hana?" A long hair glowed faintly in the flesh realm. He gasped, "Hana, how did you find me?" She smiled shyly. "I missed you. You were gone all day, so I did what you do. I tore a paper and thought about you." His chest clenched. "But how are you not part of it? Why hasn't it pulled you in?" "I don't know," she admitted. Then with a shrug, "Only a child could give," she added. "Maybe because I'm little. I'm not heavy yet." Itsuki felt tears burn his eyes. He realized the truth. Hana's innocence, her freedom from the weight of fear of adult flesh and sin, had made her untouchable here. She grabbed his arm. Miraculously, the flesh loosened. Then she pulled Buchi too, and the red dog wagged its tail. Free at last. "Let's go home, Papa." Hana produced a paper. Simple, crayon marked, a leftover from her play. She tore it without hesitation. The shimmer opened. They stepped through. The desert air hit Itsuki's face like salvation. He collapsed on the sand beside Hana and Buchi, who barked happily, his form stable and alive for the first time. It was nearly dawn. The family tent glowed softly, the smell of coffee lingering from the night before. Itsuki rushed out, eyes wide with fury. "Hana, where have you been? You're just a child. You cannot do what your father does. It's too dangerous." Hana lowered her head, clenching Buchi. "But I brought him back." Itsuki tried to speak, but the words stuck in his throat. Then gunfire. The sharp crack split the dawn. Bullets hissed into the sky. Outside the oasis, shadows circled on horseback and jeeps. Nomads, their faces wrapped in scarves, their rifles raised. The desert erupted with gunfire, the nomads firing wild into the air. Bullets ripped through the canvas, tearing holes across the family's tent. Itsuki didn't hesitate. He snatched a piece of paper from his pocket and tore. A shimmer cracked open in the middle of the tent, glowing white as reality peeled apart. "Hold on to me," he shouted. He pulled Satsuki, Hana, and Natsumi close, pushing them through the light. Just as bullets shattered the tent walls, the roar of gunfire vanished, replaced by silence and a faint hum of luxury electronics. They stumbled into the wide living room, floor to ceiling. Windows overlook the prowl of Osaka. Velvet carpets matted their steps. Crystal chandeliers glowed faintly in the morning haze. Itsuki froze. He knew this place. Mr. Hiroto's private condo. He had been summoned here before for humiliating late-night meetings, but the boss hadn't set foot in here for months. "It's safe," Itsuki whispered. He wanting to look here. The night passed quietly. They slept on silken couches and king-size beds, exhaustion dragging them under. By morning, the apartment smelled of frying eggs and miso. Satsuki hummed softly in the kitchen, her voice carrying over a faint buzz of traffic outside. Hana and Natsumi played in the living room, paper scattered around them in bright crayon colors. Itsuki sat on the sofa, finally breathing. For the first time in weeks, His daughters giggled without fear. Hannah, what are you doing? He asked absently, the girl's thin fingers folding and twisting with uncanny speed. Two paper cranes sat on the floor, identical. Then she pinched one, the other one twitched. When she tilted its wings, the second one rose clumsily, fluttering across the carpet. Itsuki blinked. Origami? Alive? But Hannah was already laughing, spinning one crane in her hand while the other stumbled across the floor like a puppet. She hadn't noticed her little sister toddling toward the balcony. By the time Hannah looked up, Natsumi's chubby arms were wrapped around the railing. She slipped through the iron bars with a child's carelessness, giggling as the city opened below her. Then she was gone. The sound, Satsuki's scream, Itsuki's chair toppling, barely registered. Hannah was already at the balcony, staring down in horror. 4 stories below, her sister's small body lay crumpled on the asphalt. No, 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 Hannah whispered, her tiny hands shaking. She clutched the crane in her palm, twisting it violently, counterclockwise. The paper groaned like it was alive. On the street, Natsumi's body twitched, her limbs jerked, then folding backward. Unnaturally, the child's body floated upward, stiff as though tied by invisible strings. Pedestrians screamed, phones raised. Come back! Come back! Hannah begged. She began untwisting the paper clockwise, carefully. Breeze. Breath ragged. Her sister drifted upward through the iron bars and set her small feet gently on the carpet. The color returned to her face. Her dimples showed when she smiled, sleepily, alive. Again, she said. Hannah collapsed, hugging her sister so tight she nearly crushed her. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Itsuki and Satsuki could only stare. Their daughter has just reversed time. But below on the street, someone hadn't screamed. Someone had filmed the video. A child falling to her death, then resurrected, was already racing across the net, shared, reposted, dissected. Within minutes, it lit up the private feed of Mr. Hiroto Yamashita. His bulging eyes widened as he replayed it again and again, saliva wetting his lips. They're all connected, he muttered. The father and now the daughters. Do you know what this means? The limo screeched to a stop outside the building. Upstairs, the family sat in stunned silence. Then, knock, knock, knock. Itsuki froze. Satsuki's hand tightened on his arm. Hannah pulled Natsumi close. The door swung open. Mr. Hiroto stood there, grinning, flanked by his guard. The guards stormed into the condo, rifles raised. Itsuki shoved his daughters behind him, but cold metal pressed to his temple stopped him in place. Mr. Hiroto entered last, his suit immaculate, his bulging eyes glittering with hunger. He spread his arms like a preacher at the pulpit. It's okay, he said smoothly. Don't look so afraid. I'm not your enemy. I'm your future. You, your wife, your daughters. What you have stumbled upon will change humanity forever. Imagine it. Endless energy. Travel beyond stars. Power over reality itself. You and your family are gifted to this world. His smile widened, sharp and grotesque. And to me, do you want money? I'll pay you more than this city has ever seen. Do you want status? Your name will be remembered for centuries. All I ask is, teach me how to tell reality. Itsuki's jaws clenched. He shook his head. No, I won't let you poison this. You had destroyed everything you touched. Hiroto's grin fluttered. His voice dropped, venomous. Careful, Takahashi. Refuse me again, and I won't be so merciful. Before Itsuki could reply, Hana stepped forward. Her small hands clutched a piece of folded paper, her voice clear and steady, cut through the standoff. Mr. Hiroto, if I teach you, will you leave my family alone? Itsuki's blood ran cold. Hana, no! She turned, her long hair swinging, her eyes calm. It's okay, Papa. Trust me. No, you don't understand what he wants. But she was already tearing the paper. A shimmer ripped open before them, reality folding back like curtains of glass. The guard sat Itsuki down as Hiroto's greedy laugh echoed. At last, he whispered, stepping towards the light. Show me. Hana reached out her hand. Come with me. Together they vanished. The air in the temporal mire was thick, syrupy, glowing with a sickly golden hue. Rivers of molten time twisted across the landscape, their surfaces bubbling, with moments replying endlessly. Voices cried out in anguish, laughter curdled into screams, and skeletal remains bobbed in the current. Hiroto stumbled, the ground sticking to his shoes. What? What is this place? Time, Hana said simply, standing on the bank. It's where your choices live. He sneered. Don't toy with me, girl. Show me how to. A wave surged from the river, wrapping around him like tar. His body convulsed as the loop began. He was back in his office, 30 years younger, being humiliated by his first employer again and again. Then the day his wife left him, repeating for centuries in a heartbeat. Then the meeting where he gambled away billions, the shame suffocating him, crushing his lungs. No, stop this, he howled, thrashing in the mire. Every attempt to fight only dragged him deeper. Hana watched, her small face expressionless, though her hands trembled. She stepped closer, the syrup tugged at her ankles. Mr. Hiroto, she said softly, you asked to see. This is what you wanted, all of you. He broke. The titan of a man wailed like a child, clawing at the sludge, begging for release. Please get me out. I'll do anything. Hana reached down. For her, the mire only whispered lullabies, laughter, her mother's voice. She had only 4 years of memory, and all of them were love, untouched by regret. She pulled Hiroto's trembling hand free and tore another paper. The shimmer opened. They stumbled back into the condo. Itsuki broke free from the guards. As the shimmer closed, he grabbed Hana, holding her tight, eyes wide with fear. What did you do to him? Hiroto lay on the carpet gasping. His once impressive frame was hunched, his bulging eyes bloodshot and wet with fear and tears. He wept, rocking back and forth, his voice hoarse from screams only he could remember. When at last he lifted his head, his arrogance was gone. His voice cracked. Keep them away from me, he whispered. Keep your family away from me. He staggered to his feet, glaring not at Itsuki, but a shimmer of his own broken mind. Take the apartment. Take your freedom. If you want your job back, it's yours, but I never want to see you again. Without another word, he motioned to his guards. They left quickly, almost dragging him, his once commanding presence now hollow. The door shut. Silence fell. Itsuki knelt before Hana, grabbing her shoulders, his eyes wet. You saved us, but promise me, Hana, never again. That place could have destroyed you. She looked down, hugging Natsumi close. I wasn't afraid, Papa. I only remembered happy things. Itsuki kissed her forehead, hurt, hammering. He knew then his daughter's innocence had saved them all. The apartment felt silent, heavy with the aftershocks of what had just transpired. Itsuki gathered his family close, relief flooding his chest, only for it to freeze in an instant. Hana staggered towards him, her little hand still trembling from tearing reality. And then, before their very eyes, her long black hair paled like ink dragging from a brush. In mere seconds it turned pure white, every strand glowing ghost-like under the sterile lights of the condo. "Hana!" Satsuki gasped, clutching Natsumi to her chest. The child touched her own hair, confused. "Papa! Mama! What's happening to me?" Isuki's heart clenched. This was no mere side effect. It was a sign, a transformation. No one spoke. The silence in the room was broken only by the distant hum of the city, as the family stared at Hana's snow-white hair, unsure whether it marked a blessing or the beginning of something far darker. The morning after Hana's transformation, the Takahashi family gathered quietly in the apartment's living room. Sunlight poured through the wide glass windows, spilling over the city below. The air was heavy, not with danger this time, but with the unspoken truth that their lives had changed forever. Itsuki's father sat cross-legged, his withered face sullen. He looked at his son, at Satsuki, at his granddaughters, and spoke with the slow gravity of someone who had seen too much of the world to waste words. "Everything in this life has consequences," Mr. Takahashi said. "Even kindness, even survival. Tearing the fabric of existence is no gift, it's a burden. You have all seen what it costs. Powers like this may feel like salvation, but every time you use them, you risk bringing something back with you. Something you cannot yet understand." The family listened in silence, Hana clutching Natsumi's hand, her white hair glinting unnaturally in the light. "You must promise me," the old man continued, his voice sharper now. "This power will only ever be used in moments of true emergency, never for greed, never for convenience. The world itself may not forgive us otherwise." Tsuki met his father's eyes and nodded. "We promise." Satsuki whispered the same. Even Hana, so quiet and pale, repeated the vow, her voice trembling with both fear and determination. Later that day, they dyed Hana's hair black, hiding the impossible truth beneath a veil of ordinary color. The girls started school again, trying to blend back into the life they had once. They lived in Hiroto's abandoned apartment, its sleek walls now warmed with laughter, Satsuki's cooking, and the patter of children's feet. And always, curled at the foot of the couch, was Buchi, their red dog, born of string and pepper, ever watchful. Life pressed forward, fragile and uncertain. The Takahashis tried to pretend things were normal, but deep down, each of them knew what the old man had said was true. Every tear they made in the fabric of existence rippled outward, consequences echoing through the worlds they could never see. For now, they were safe. For now, they were together, but the fabric was thinner than they ever realized.